Have cycling fans gone too far this time, and are they going to lead to the death of races like the Tour de France? During stage 14 of this year's Tour de France, an Ineos team car hit a spectator while driving up one of the final climbs. We're used to seeing pictures like this of fans lining both sides of the road as they cheer riders on to the finish. But has it gone too far? This year's edition of the Tour de France has introduced ropes alongside the road to try and hold fans back, as well as the gendarmerie helping to keep the riders safe. But it doesn't just end there. Before the riders came through at the end of stage 17, which was destined to be a sprint finish, a man on a bike jumped the barriers and tried to cross the line before the finishing riders came in. He was met by the gendarmerie and knocked off his bike as he crossed the finish line, likely leading to a broken collarbone by the looks of these images. Luckily, neither of these spectator incidents managed to affect the final outcome of both stages. However, the Ineos team car driver was fined roughly £4,000 for hitting the spectator. As cycling fans, we've come to accept that these events are becoming more and more frequent. With last year's Tour de France, the riders having to stop because the out front motorbikes couldn't make it through the crowds. They were that deep and that closed off in the middle of the road. These incidents can severely impact the race outcomes, stopping riders from making attacks or moves on the final climb, which ultimately impacts the final GC. We've seen the likes of Omiopi, which knocks off riders in the first week of the Tour de France and leaves major GC contenders without domestiques into the later stages of the race. So all of this is to say, have fans gone too far and actually are going to be the death of the sport, as the UCI and race organisers are forced to clamp down on fans in order to protect rider safety and to prevent the impact on the race results. The use of things like flares, where some idiot is up a climb lighting a flare, which creates huge amounts of particles that will damage the lungs of not only the spectators, but the riders who are breathing at their absolute VO2 max, taking in huge amounts of oxygen, and with that, the particles from these flares. It's just not acceptable. We had a spectator at Paris-Roubaix who thought that it was acceptable that while Mathieu van der Poel was off the front riding to victory, they thought it was acceptable to throw a cap into the spokes of his front wheel and try and hinder his winning performance. Spectators and the impact they've had on the race, it goes part and parcel with the Tour de France. We're lucky enough to have a free-to-watch sport where fans can get up close and personal with their favourite riders. However, the spectators over the years have taken it too far one too many times. In the past, fans of opposing nationalities would stop riders at the top of mountaintop finishes and beat up riders who were winning that they didn't like. Now, luckily those days are gone, but I wouldn't be too surprised if in the day and age of virality content, somebody thinks it's funny to try and impact the race even further and we return to these times. All this is to say, all you have to look at is the likes of Group B Rally, which spectator and driver safety ended up leading to the death of the sport. It wasn't uncommon to see massive crowds at the side of rallies where fans got up close and personal to the racing. However, one too many spectator deaths, the organisers are forced to impose regulation for health and safety, and it ultimately leads to the death of the sport. Group B rallying is dead, and rally as a whole in the WRC is massively down on viewership to what it was in its heyday in the 80s. And this could be the unfortunate death of cycling if, because of idiot spectators, we are forced to impose massive regulation that kills viewership at the most scenic of mountaintop finishes. So if you get the opportunity to go and spectate one of these races, do a bit of policing yourself. Don't wait on the gendarmerie to stop somebody acting like an idiot. If somebody is going to clearly impact the outcome of the race, stop them before they do. Or else, in the future, we might not have the same opportunities to watch our favourite riders up close and personal. Because that is what makes this sport the sport it is. Thanks for watching, and hopefully, if this gets through, then we can keep watching the Tour de France up close and personal for many years to come.